Discover the incredible moment a cop mocked a black woman until her FBI badge was revealed. In the heart of a small American town, the annual festival was in full swing, the air thick with the smoky scent of barbecued meats and the cheerful sounds of children laughing. Angela, a resilient single mother, stood in the crowd, her hands slightly trembling. She was dressed simply, but her clothes were clean and pressed, an outward sign of her unyielding pride. Today was about celebrating community, but her heart pounded with an unspeakable truth tucked away inside her. She was more than just a mom, she was a guardian in disguise, an undercover FBI agent dedicated to uplifting her neighborhood. As she approached Officer Ryan, the sharp-suited man with an air of arrogance, anxiety twisted in her gut. He had a reputation, strutting around like he owned the place, always casting sideways glances at folks he deemed beneath him. She needed him on their side, but his reaction caught her off guard. "What brings you here, Angela? Shouldn't you be at home watching your kid?" He smirked, the laughter of the crowd echoing around them. The taunts were like arrows in her heart. She swallowed hard, feeling the weight of every judgment that lived in Ryan's gaze. But what he didn't know was that her circumstances didn't define her worth. "Nia and I are proud members of this community," she spoke firmly, hiding her hurt behind a brave smile. But deep down, she feared what this judgment was teaching her daughter. Nia was bright and spirited, would this cruel remark seep into her mind like a weed? Angela had always taught her to stand tall, to respect herself, but now those lessons felt tenuous. Suddenly, the festival erupted into chaos. Angela's instincts kicked in as a brawl broke out among a group of rowdy attendees. Adrenaline surged through her as she spotted a shine reflecting off a knife. Her heart raced, this was her moment. Without thinking, she reached for her badge from beneath her shirt. "FBI. Everyone, step back." Gasps rippled through the crowd, and time slowed as she revealed who she really was. Officer Ryan froze, disbelief dawning across his face as he processed the strength that had been before him all along. "You." He stammered, his confidence cracking like glass. Angela's fierce determination ignited the moment. The murmurs around her shifted from shock to admiration. People began to rally, eyes wide with newfound respect. The judgment that had once swept through understanding began to fade, and the atmosphere was electric with change. But as Nia pushed through the crowd, uncertainty flickered in her young eyes. Her mother's true identity unveiled before her, opened doors to both pride and confusion. Would this revelation add weight to their bond, or would it push them apart as her peers looked on? The moment held 1,000 unspoken words, a question suspended in the air. In the shadow of economic struggle and societal prejudice, would they emerge stronger or divide under the pressure of misunderstanding? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the festival quieted and the crowd absorbed Angela's revelation, the tension shifted. Officer Ryan's gaze, once condescending, began to stir questions within himself. Could he see Angela as more than a stereotype, a hardworking mother who deserved his respect? With Nia standing at a crossroads of affection for her mother and the harsh light of community judgment, Angela's path led toward uncertain hope. Would she mend the gap formed by misunderstanding, or would this moment leave scars too deep to heal? The questions echoed as they braced for the impact of their lives changing forever. The silence was heavy, broken only by the distant sound of a vendor's bell and Nia's soft footsteps as she approached her mother. Angela could feel the weight of 1,000 eyes bearing down on them. She glanced at Officer Ryan, who seemed unable to move, his expression shifting from disbelief to something resembling regret. The air buzzed with anticipation, and she swallowed hard, adrenaline still coursing through her veins. Nia held onto a bright red balloon, its string slipping through her fingers momentarily as she rushed towards Angela. "Mom, you scared me." Her voice quivered, vulnerability cutting through the tension. The warmth of her daughter's presence filled Angela with a fierce protectiveness. "I'm okay, sweetheart. Just doing what needs to be done," she said, trying to reassure them both. As if on cue, murmurs split the crowd. "Did you see that? She's with the FBI." Voices buzzed, confusion mingling with admiration. Angela's revelation was echoing loud and clear. There was power in her truth. Officer Ryan stood taller now, a shadow of his former self, clearly struggling to reconcile this new image of the woman he had mocked. "Aren't you supposed to be watching kids or something?" he finally managed to say, but the bite had lost its edge. He seemed hesitant, as if he were peeling back layers of his faux bravado to see the woman beneath. The bravado that once made him feel superior was at risk of shattering. Nia tugged at her mother's arm, looking up with wide eyes. "Mom, can we leave? Please." The fear laced in her daughter's voice cut deeper than any taunt. Angela knelt down, their faces close, and saw a mix of love and confusion in her little girl's eyes. "You're proud of me, right?" she whispered. With a determined smile, Nia nodded slowly. "Because you're a superhero," she murmured, her voice barely audible, yet the words rang with unfiltered love. Angela felt tears sting her eyes. This was the moment she had fought for. To protect her daughter and show her what strength really looked like. "Yes," she said firmly. "But it's about us being true to who we are together." The moment was both a revelation and a reminder of the strength and fragility that coiled around their bond. But the festival wasn't done yet. Just then, a shout echoed through the crowd, drawing everyone's attention. "Help! Someone call an ambulance." Angela's heart sank as she turned toward the voice. A brawl had reignited, this time not from mischief but genuine violence. A man lay on the ground, clutching his side while another pressed forwards in aggression. The festival atmosphere shifted back sharply as people scrambled, fear rippling through the crowd. "Mom, stay back!" Nia cried, pulling against her mother's grip, a genuine fear flashing across her young features. Angela felt an instant flash of protective instinct. "I have to do this," she said again, her resolve hardening. She turned, adrenaline pumping through her, and faced Ryan. "We must act quickly, come on." With a nod, Ryan's previous demeanor melted away. They both sprinted forward, weaving through the crowd that has divided into spectators and participants in this new chaos. Angela's heart raced, not just from the surge of action but from the realization that perhaps, in this terrifying moment, respect was being rewritten in front of them. They reached the man on the ground. "What happened?" Angela asked as she knelt beside him. He was gasping, his eyes wild with panic and pain. He just attacked me for no reason." Angela glanced up at Nia, who stood frozen, her eyes wide with fear yet glimmering with admiration. "I need you to take a deep breath, okay? I'm here." Angela squeezed Nia's shoulder briefly, before returning her focus to the emergency in front of her. She was a protector, a mother before anything else, but would she be able to protect her family, her community, against the very turmoil that threatened to consume them as the festival spiraled into chaos? The question loomed large as they entered this new fight together. Angela's heart thudded in her chest, louder than the chaos swirling around them. She could feel Nia South's small form trembling close to her, a reminder of the stakes involved. Every instinct screamed for her to shield her daughter from the violence permeating the air. As she knelt beside the man, she took a steadying breath, trying to remain calm amid the turmoil. "Okay, sir," she said softly, her voice steady. "We're going to help you. I need you to stay still." She glanced at Officer Ryan, who was kneeling on the opposite side. His brow was furrowed, eyes focused, straddling the line between a law enforcement officer and an ally in this dire situation. "Call for backup," Ryan shouted to a bystander. "We need an ambulance now." With one swift motion, he removed his radio. The crowd around them watched in a mix of horror and fascination, whispers hanging in the air like thick fog. Angela felt the weight of their stares but focused on the task at hand. "Can you tell us what happened?" Angela asked again, looking into the victim's eyes. They were filled with a mix of fear and pain, yet she noticed something else, a spark of hope. "Just breathe, I'm right here. You're not alone." I was just trying to walk away, then he jumped me," the man stammered, panic creeping back into his voice. "I didn't see it coming." Nia tugged at her mother's sleeve again, her little fingers grasping desperately like they were clinging to a lifeline. "Mom, I'm scared." Angela turned her head slightly, forcing a gentle smile, though her heart ached at the sight of her daughter's distress. "I know, honey. Sometimes, things get messy before they get better. But I promise you, we're going to handle this." Angela raised her voice, addressing Nia directly, "Stay by my side. I want you to see how we make things right." The roar of the crowd grew louder, becoming a single entity filled with energy and anxiety. A few people scoffed at the violence while others gasped in shock. With the tension high, Angela suddenly found herself facing the aggressor, who had just managed to break free from the throng and was advancing again, seething with rage. "Back off!" Ryan shouted, his commanding voice breaking through the murmurs. He stood, taking a protective stance between Angela and the attacker, who now wore a mask of fury. The man lunged, a wild swing aimed at Ryan's midsection. Time slowed as Ryan sidestepped, deflecting the blow with his arm. "Angela! Get Nia out of here!" he yelled, his voice laced with urgency. "Mom! Please don't go." Nia's eyes widened, anxiously darting between the struggle unfolding and Angela's firm determination. "I'm not leaving you," Angela replied fiercely. She tightened her grip on her daughter's shoulder. Together, they stood, a united front against the chaos spiraling around them. For a moment, the world melted away. It was just them. As they locked eyes, Angela felt clarity wash over her. She was not just a mother, she was a force. Her heart surged with a desire to show Nia the meaning of resilience. In that defining moment of unity, the man on the ground whimpered as anger twisted in the air, creating a palpable tension. Angela knew they would need more than just their courage. But how could they turn the tide of violence in a split second? The answer loomed, waiting just out of reach. Would their next move be enough? Or would it plunge them deeper into the nightmare surrounding the festival? The choice felt monumental, one that would shape the future for all of them. With tension mounting, the realization hit Angela, this moment could change everything. What would happen next? Angela's breath caught as the aggressor took another step forward, snarling and unsteady. In that moment, the chaos swirling around seemed to amplify. Nia's hand still clutched her mother's sleeve, her tiny face pressed into Angela's side, feeling the fear ripple through her. "Stay behind me," Angela whispered, her voice a quiet promise. With every ounce of resolve, she stepped forward. No one needs to get hurt here. The crowd had transformed into a living entity, and their shifting eyes weighed heavily on her. In the midst of it all, Officer Ryan remained steady, unrivaled determination etched across his face. The energy was electric, tinged with fear and adrenaline, but Angela knew they would exhaust every option before retreating. The man snarled again, another rush of rage fueling his movements. "You don't know what you're doing," he screamed, his voice cracking under the pressure of his own aggression. It pierced the air, a jarring reminder of how swiftly situations could spiral out of control. "Let's talk this through," Angela said, trying to keep the shakiness from her voice. "You've been hurt. We can get you help, but you have to stop." In this moment, everything she had seen from the time of her training sprang forth: calm, collected communication. The patience she had learned years ago started to seep into her actions as she firmly locked eyes with him, refusing to look away. Then something unexpected happened. The tension, thick as smoke, shifted slightly. The growl in the man's eyes dulled, confusion took root in its place. Angela felt the warmth of hope flicker between them, tiny but fierce. "Just put it down," Officer Ryan urged, slowly spreading his arms as if to create a barrier with his very presence. "You don't have to do this." The crowd breathed collectively, an almost synchronized gasp, as they sensed the possibility of de-escalation. They knew the weight of the police officer's presence and Angela's determination. "Why should I?" The man spat, and for the first time, Angela caught a glimpse of the anguish behind his anger. "Nobody cares about me." "Let us show you we do care," Angela pressed, taking another small step forward. "You're not alone in this. Life gets heavy. But how can we help you if you want to let us?" There was a flicker within his eyes, an opening she could delve into. As she spoke, she saw Nia's small figure peeking out from behind her mother, searching for the courage to stand against the shadows of fear. "Mommy," Nia whispered, her voice timid yet resolute. "I think he just needs a friend." The words hung in the air, tender and raw. Angela glanced at her daughter, proud and heartbroken all at once. This was what she wanted Nia to see, the potential of compassion amidst chaos. And perhaps there, between those vast, hurt emotions, was a chance for something to change, but the moment teetered precariously. "Who's the friend?" The man retorted, his frustration boiling over once more. "Who's gonna give me that?" Angela's heart pounded faster, and she quickly weighed her options. "Let us talk," she said, her voice firm. "You're stronger than this. You can make it through. It starts here." Would her words reach him? Could she pull him out of this darkness before it consumed them all? The weight of the crowd's anticipation pressed in, and she could almost hear the ticking clock of their collective hearts, a fragile moment ripe with possibility. As the festival lights flickered overhead, Angela felt the intensity mount. What decision would unfold in the next few seconds? And with that, a new wave of uncertainty crashed over her. How could they navigate this troubled moment without losing everything? Angela's heart raced, the tension coiling tighter with every passing second. She noticed the flicker of doubt in the man's eyes, and for just a moment, she felt the fragile glimmer of hope. But as quickly as it appeared, the anger surged back. "Talk. You think that's gonna fix anything?" He roared, fists clenching at his sides, fingernails digging into his palms, white-knuckled and trembling. "You don't know what it's like. You don't know me." "I don't have to know you," she replied, her voice steady, though inside, she felt the quake of fear. "But I want to understand. Please just let us in." Around them, the crowd shifted, pregnant with concern, eyes locked onto the scene unfolding like a slow-motion film. Angela could feel their breath, a unified rush of anticipation, hope, and dread, all threaded with a shared longing for peace. "Mommy," Nia's small voice cut through the noise again. "You said everyone should have a friend even when they're sad." The words hung there, pure and innocent, smoothing out the sharp edges of the moment. The man faltered, his brow furrowing as he turned towards the little girl. "What do you know about sad?" he demanded, but even as he said the words, they lacked the same venom as before. Nia took a half step forward, emboldened by the moment and the collective energy surrounding her. "I know it hurts. My bunny, Mr. Fluff, got lost, and I cried for days. But then my mommy helped me find him again. Maybe you just need help too." Angela's breath hitched as she exchanged a glance with her daughter. Nia had pulled a thread of truth from the chaos, weaving a connection that even the darkest of hearts might understand. The man's defiance began to crack, confusion simmering beneath his defensiveness. "You don't know me," he sneered, but it was softer, a hint of vulnerability slipping through. "What if I told you I'd want to be your friend, to listen? What if it made a difference?" Angela stepped forward, mirroring Nia's stance, heart open, and ready. "Let us just take a breath together." Silence fell, heavy and electric, snaking through the onlookers. Someone in the crowd whispered, a ripple of support coursing through them. "Breathe," Angela urged, taking a slow inhale, then exhaling deeply, fully aware of the power of a shared moment. You don't have to carry this weight alone. The man swayed slightly, his facade flickering like a flame. For the first time, he let his shoulders relax, if only minutely. No one cares. His voice cracked, the bravado unraveling. There are people who care, Officer Ryan chimed in, his authority tempered by empathy. You just need to let them help. Trust us. Nia reached out her small hand, extending it toward the man. You can pick flowers if you want to be happy again. Angela felt her heart breaking open at the sheer innocence of her daughter's words. It was a plea to see beyond the pain, to find some kind of redemption buried beneath the rage. For a heartbeat, it seemed as if the world held its breath. But then, the man shook his head, willing himself to retreat back into the anger that had wrapped him up like a cocoon. No one can change anything, not really. Sometimes, Angela said gently, it just takes one person to see the light in you, to remind you it's there. A heavy silence settled over everyone, the type where you could hear a pin drop. At that moment, behind them, a siren wailed through the night, echoing ominously as if calling for action when they were so close to a decision. Angela's pulse quickened. Would he find a way through those thick walls, or would the siren's call drown out their fragile hope? The turmoil of humanity loomed on the edge of release. Would compassion strike a chord in this confrontation, or would darkness prevail? As the lights danced above them, Angela stood on the precipice of possibility and despair. The choice hung dangerously. Could they reach him before he fell back into the shadows? Angela held her breath, her heart racing as the siren blared louder, shattering the stillness that hung over them. Her eyes stayed locked on the man, who appeared smaller somehow, as if the tension of the moment was weighing him down. His shoulders drooped under the burden of despair and anger, and for the first time, Angela sensed he was more than just a threat. He was a man lost in his own storm. Listen, she said softly, her voice barely above a whisper, you don't have to do this. You don't have to be angry. You've stood here carrying this weight for so long. Let it go, even just a little. The crowd remained silent, each person hanging on to Angela's words, the gravity of the moment wrapping around them like dusk settling over a quiet street. Maybe picking flowers isn't your thing, Nia piped up again, her innocence shining like a beacon. But what about I don't know, coloring? Or playing ball? She was trying to reach him, pulling from a world of childlike joy, innocence the man might remember. Coloring? He echoed, surprise flickering across his rugged face. Yeah. Nia exclaimed, her eyes lighting up. You could color rainbows. And rainbows are happy. Angela saw a glimmer of something change within him, maybe a laugh, or was it a smile? It was fleeting, but it was there, a crack in the darkness. Do you even know what that feels like? He spat, but the force was drained from his words. They sounded more like a question than an accusation, revealing a flicker of vulnerability. I know it feels like there's a hole inside you that you can't fill, Angela said, risking everything. I've been there. It's scary to reach out. I still struggle sometimes. The man's tension eased ever so slightly, like a storm cloud allowing a slice of sun to peek through. The challenge now was to keep that crack open, to widen it like a door swinging ajar. I don't know, he said, his voice softer, almost contemplative. People turn their backs. They don't understand. There was a hollowness to his words, a distant echo of hurt that seemed to resonate with the crowd. They don't have to understand everything about you, Angela urged, her own heart a pulsing echo inside her chest. They just have to care. That's all any of us really want, to be seen, to be heard, to know that hope is out there. It exists. Again there was silence, the siren fading into the background. The man's grip on his anger loosened, trembling fingers opening slightly almost as if they were about to unearth the buried pain hidden deep within. Officer Ryan stepped closer, his voice steady and firm. What if we showed you that caring is possible? That a connection can change everything? Before the man could respond, Nia stepped forward, still holding out her small hand. You don't have to be sad anymore. You can come pick flowers with us or color rainbows. Angela shifted her weight, weighing the urgency of the situation. It felt like every person around them held one collective breath, which hung heavy, inviting change. The man's expression blurred, and for the first time, tears began to pool in his eyes. The anger was losing its battle against the compassion being extended to him, but just as a flicker of hope surged forward, a shout sliced through the air, breaking the moment. "What's happening here?" A new figure emerged from the crowd, cutting through the tension like an unexpected storm. Angela's heart plummeted as she recognized the voice, the cascade of emotions threatening to unravel everything they had begun to build. She turned, eyes wide, knowing they may have just cleared the path to compassion, only to potentially lose it all in the chaos that had just arrived. What if nothing could save this moment now? The stakes had risen once more. Would their hard-earned connection slip into darkness with this new arrival? Angela's gaze locked onto the newcomer with a mix of dread and determination. The tall figure, clad in a crisp uniform, strode toward them with a confidence that only heightened the tension. His words hung in the air like a blade, ready to cut through the fragile connection that had begun to blossom. "Step away from him." The officer barked, his voice hard and unyielding. "You don't know what you're dealing with." The crowd shifted uneasily, a ripple of fear coursing through their ranks as the officer's commanding presence overshadowed the hope that had been kindling moments before. Angela felt her heart race, as if it might leap out of her chest. She instinctively took a step closer to the man, who stood frozen, caught between his past pain and the promise of release. "No, wait. You don't understand," she pleaded, and the crowd grasped that her words weren't just for the officer, but for him, too. With fury lighting up the officer's eyes, he took another step forward. "Get behind me. I won't hesitate to take you all in if this escalates." The accusation hung heavy in the air. In that moment, Angela feared they were back where they started, the chance of healing snatched away. "Don't you see?" she continued, her voice trembling but fierce. "This isn't about anger or violence. This is about connection and healing." She paused, searching the eyes of the surrounding crowd, desperate for solidarity against the rising tide of fear. Their gazes held a mix of emotions: hope, worry, defiance, each one a silent testament that they refused to dismiss what was happening. Nia stepped forward, her small body unwavering. "You'll miss out on coloring rainbows," she shouted, her innocent voice cutting through the officer's authoritative tone. Angela could see the conflict ripple through the man's eyes. She could only hope he was still listening. "This man," she began again, hoping to pull the officer's attention away from aggression, "is hurting. We're trying to help him find a way back to joy. Please." The newcomer's eyes narrowed, an unyielding facade of authority gripping him tightly. "I don't care what you're trying to do. You could be in danger, he could be armed." His certainty hit like a harsh wind, tearing at the delicate fabric of compassion they'd so painstakingly woven. The man, still teetering on the edge of despair, spoke for the first time since the shouted command. "I don't want to hurt anyone," he muttered, his voice strained, yet a soft defiance flickered in it. "I just can't." "What?" Angela asked softly, trying to keep the air around them anchored with empathy. "Can't let go. Can't trust. That's okay. We're here to help you stay safe. You are not alone." There was an electric pause. The crowd seemed to breathe together, suspended in time, eyes darting between the officer, Angela, and the man who had become the storm. But within the cacophony of emotions, Angela could feel a shift stirring deep within the man. A yearning for freedom from all he'd held onto was battling with the grip fear had on him. Just then, the officer's radio crackled to life, shattering the moment. "Unit 5, respond to a situation at Maple and 3rd, possible armed individual." The urgency jolted through the crowd. Angela's heart sank. "We need to go," the officer said, turning back to them, but the urgency in his voice was shifting, uncertainty creeping through. "Please," the man whispered, his words fragile, "don't leave me." The plea hung in the air, raw and desperate. Angela stepped forward, determined. "We won't leave you. Not now." With tension mounting, she worried about how the officer would react next. What would happen if he didn't see what was truly at stake? Would they lose this battle for connection just as it began? Would everything they fought for unravel in the face of misunderstanding? And as she and the others held their breath, it became a question not just of survival, but of hope. Where would this journey lead them all? Angela's heart thundered in her chest, a drumbeat of urgency as she gazed at the man, pleading with her eyes. She wished she could strip away the layers of fear shrouding him, reveal the hope hiding underneath. The officer's stance shifted. For a heartbeat, his expression faltered, revealing a glimpse of uncertainty. Angela seized the moment. You said he might be armed. What if he isn't? What if he's got nothing but fear? It doesn't matter, the officer shot back, but his voice lacked conviction. The crowd behind Angela was shifting, inching closer, their eyes shining with a mixture of determination and fear. They were ready to stand beside her, ready to fight for him. Listen to us, Nia called, her tiny voice rising above the tension. He's not a bad guy, he just needs help. Just like my mom when she gets sad. The officer hesitated, glancing around as if summoning reinforcements from the crowd's murmurings. Angela could feel the tide turning. The collective energy of the crowd, anchored by Nia's innocence, created a magnetic pull toward hope. Shut it down. The officer barked, but it felt like a desperate plea more than a command. I need control here. Control. Angela's voice caught fire. What is control if it means giving up on the human spirit? The boldness of her words surprised even her, and she pressed on, not wanting to back down. What if we transformed that control into understanding? What if we just listened? She turned back to the man, her gaze softening. You matter. Your pain matters. If you want to talk, I'm here. We all are. He seemed to soften, just a little. His posture shifted, tightness fading from his shoulders, and Angela dared to hope that maybe, just maybe, he would reach out. Anxiety churned in her stomach as she watched him, waiting for his response. Stay with me. His voice was barely above a whisper, but Angela heard it loud and clear. She took another step closer. You don't have to do this alone, she reassured him, her heart filled with warmth at his flickering choice of trust. Behind her, the crowd held their breath, ready to respond. There was power in the moment, a shared heartbeat that resonated through everyone present. The officer stepped again, the weight of his authority dropping, leaving behind a vulnerability he couldn't mask. I can't just let this go. I have a duty. And your duty is also to protect lives, not just follow orders blindly, Angela urged. What happens when your orders hurt more than they help? In the silence that followed, the onlookers leaned in, an unspoken bond wrapping them all together. Could this fleeting, fragile moment blossom into something transformative? Angela's eyes searched the officer's, finding a flicker of doubt, a hint of reconsideration dancing behind his rigid facade. But before anything could materialize, the radio crackled again, this time with insistent urgency. Unit 5, respond. Situation escalating at Maple. The officer's jaw clenched, and Angela could see him waver, torn between two worlds. It's okay, just breathe, she whispered towards the man, who was still teetering on his edge. We'll get through this together. Suddenly, the officer's gaze snapped back to Angela, his eyes steely but carrying a hint of vulnerability. You don't understand what you're asking for. What if I do? Angela challenged softly, feeling the weight of every life connected in that moment. She could feel Nia holding tightly to her hand, grounding her, a reminder that hope was worth standing for. As the standoff continued, the crowd united in a swirling mixture of anticipation and fear, all eyes focused on the potential connection between them, one that could bridge hearts and heal wounds. But just as Angela felt the first stirrings of hope blooming, anxiety tightened her chest again. What if this fragile moment shattered? What if the officer retreated into his authority, sealing the man's fate? The air crackled with unuttered questions, breaths held in anticipation. What would happen next? Would they all find a way through the darkness together, or would fear steal joy from Them once again. Angela swallowed hard, the weight of the moment hanging over them like a storm cloud. What would it take to break through the barriers? What kind of courage sat waiting to be discovered on the other side? Angela held her breath, eyes locked onto the man who seemed to teeter on a knife's edge. He was still, but there was a flicker in his eyes, a battle between fear and something stronger, a longing for connection, perhaps. Behind her, Nia squeezed her hand tighter, her little face painted with concern. Angela glanced back, offering a fleeting smile that bubbled with warmth. "We're here," she whispered again, hoping her words could cross whatever chasm of despair lay before them. The officer, visibly torn, shifted his weight from one foot to the other. "Listen," he started, his voice lower now, almost pleading. "I have a job to do. I have to follow protocol." "Protocol?" Angela nearly laughed, but it came out as a shaky breath instead. "What does that even mean if it costs a life? Don't you see? This is about more than procedures. It's about humanity. It's about the heart." The weight of her words echoed in the charged space. For a moment, Angela caught the eye of another officer nearby, one who had been silent and watching. He nodded ever so slightly, a glimmer of understanding passing across his features. Maybe, just maybe, they wouldn't be alone in this fight. "Don't you feel it?" Angela pressed on, her voice gaining strength. "The fear? The pain? The love? It's here, alive, connecting us in ways that orders can't dictate. What are you standing for?" The man shifted, opening his arms slightly, a reflexive gesture that sent tremors through the air. Angela sensed the shift, she could feel the crowd's collective hope grow palpably, wrapping around them like a warm blanket on a cold night. Then, through the stillness, the man faced her fully. "They think I'm a monster." His voice, although tremulous, carried the weight of 1,000 burdens. "But I'm just scared. Just tired of running." Angela's heart clenched. "You're not a monster. You're a person. And being scared doesn't make you bad. It makes you real." As the crowd leaned in, their faces sculpted in determination, Angela felt energy surge through her. She turned back to the officer. "You need to see him as he truly is. Not a suspect, but a soul. Can you do that?" The officer hesitated, fingers tapping nervously on his belt. The signal from the radio crackled again, echoing in the uncertainty. "Unit 7 at Maple, we need backup. Now." A separation was forming, fear battling against the possibility of understanding. This was their moment, an intersection of lives that could lead to healing or chaos. Angela reached out, her heart pounding. "Please. Don't let the fear win." Just then, the officer inclined his head, and for the first time, she caught a glimpse of something like compassion flaring in his eyes. "I see you," he admitted, almost softly, the barriers around him quaking. The words hung in the air, suspended in a breathless heartbeat. Then, suddenly, the sound of sirens wailed in the distance. It grew louder, blaring through the tension, shattering the moment like a fragile glass. Instantly, panic rippled through the crowd. Their hopeful expressions turned to concern, thinking the worst was yet to come. "More backup, help." Angela called out, raising her voice above the frantic din. "It's not about numbers, it's about connection." The officer's brows knitted, the police radio was still sputtering in the background, but he took a step toward them. "What do you want me to do?" "Stand with us," Angela urged, hope blending with desperation. The air felt electric, each second pulling them closer to the brink. As the sirens echoed nearer, it was clear this decision would change everything. The energy shifted, a new force forging between them. Would the officer choose to bridge that gap? Would he embrace humanity over authority? Angela's hope soared, but a gnawing worry lingered. If he didn't act now, would they all spiral into chaos? What lay ahead just might redefine their entire community. Would it be fear or unity that reshaped this moment forever? Angela could feel the weight of the world pressing down as the sirens swung closer. This moment with its potential to reshape lives hung in the balance. She took a deep breath, steadying her resolve, her heart beating loudly in her chest. "Look," she began, her voice firm yet gentle, drowning out the cacophony around them. "You're not just an officer or a badge. You're part of this community. You have the power to build bridges instead of walls." The officer's stern expression flickered. "You don't know my world," he snapped, but there was a hint of wavering behind his bravado, a crack forming through the armor he had built around himself. Angela saw an opening. "You're right, I don't know everything. But I know pain. I know what it feels like to be judged, overlooked, and to bear burdens of fear. This man," she gestured towards the trembling figure before her, "is not just a threat. He is a human being caught in a storm. Just like you, just like me." The man blinked back tears, the tremors of fear shifting to anger, then vulnerability. "I never asked for this," he muttered, his voice barely audible but filled with an urgency to be understood. As the sirens blared louder, Angela stepped even closer, reaching a hand toward him. "None of us did. We can't control our past, but we can shape our future. What do you want? Freedom from your pain? A chance to change?" The officer glanced between them, his tough demeanor wavering as he weighed their words. "What if I make the wrong choice?" he whispered, vulnerability cracking through the surface. Angela smiled, a warm, encouraging beam. "Change is never wrong if it comes from the heart. We're all scared, but bravery isn't the absence of fear. It's feeling the fear and choosing to try anyway." Nia, fragile but fiercely brave, clutched her mother's hand tighter. "You can show him, Mommy. Show him it's okay to let go." Suddenly, the officer's gaze softened. "Okay, okay." It was barely above a whisper, but it was an acceptance. "I don't want to lose any more lives. I can't. I want to do better." His heart, aching but revealing itself, opened enough to see the human plight before him. The crowd, quiet now, felt the electricity crackle in the air as the officer took a step towards the man. I see you," he breathed, the sincerity washing over them like a tide. The man blinked, a whisper of hope illuminating his face. "You really see me?" "Yeah," the officer replied, his voice thick with realization. "You're not alone." Angela watched, tears pooling in her eyes as solidarity washed over them. The sirens faded into the background, the chaos morphing into something more: connection. Together, they took a step forward, a new trio formed from the ashes of misunderstanding. "Let us talk," the officer said, extending a tentative hand toward the man, who hesitated only for a moment before accepting it, their clasp sealing a fragile truce. Nia, bright-eyed, tugged on Angela's shirt. "Mom, it worked. They're friends now." "Yes, baby," Angela said, a radiant smile blooming on her lips. "See? Love and understanding can conquer fear." As the last echoes of sirens faded away, the crowd began to disperse, energy shifting from tension to relief. People murmured, voices weaving stories of hope and redemption, of a festival that had transformed into a testament of compassion. Angela felt the heaviness in her heart lift, buoyed by the shared realization that they could begin anew. She knelt to her daughter's level, pulling her into a warm embrace. "I am so proud of you, Nia. You taught us all about bravery today." Nia grinned, her spirit soaring above the darkest clouds. "Just like a superhero," she exclaimed. Laughter erupted around them, and in that moment, Angela felt the electricity in the air, the kind that signifies a community ready to heal, hands to join and hearts to grow. Angela stood, glancing back at the officer, who was shaking hands and receiving thanks from those around him. Hope shimmered in the air, a golden glow that washed away the shadows. Together, they had built something beautiful, something resilient. "We did it, didn't we?" Nia said softly, clasping her mother's hand, reminding her that this battle was won for everyone who believed in change. "Yes, sweetheart," Angela replied, filled with warmth, her heart full. This is just the beginning. The festival resumed, vibrant colors and laughter once more spilling into the air, a song of victory resonating throughout their community. And as they drifted back into the festivities, Angela felt the pulse of possibility every beat, a testament to new beginnings, connections, and the beauty of shared humanity. Now, as the final scene faded, if this story moved you, this is your moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like right now to feed the algorithm and help spread the message of hope. Comment below your feelings about this ending, and share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who truly need to witness this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Let us build a community of change together.